In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make a lotus flower pop-up card. Here's what the card looks like in pink, and here's what the card looks like in white. Now, the lotus flower is very symbolic in many cultures. It represents purity, rebirth, beauty, fertility, prosperity, spirituality, and eternity. Now, this is the second version of a lotus flower card that I've made. Now, the first version I made was actually 17 years ago for my mom. Now, my mom meditates a lot, and she once told me that when she meditates, she thinks of a lotus flower. So I decided for her birthday, I made this lotus flower pop-up card that she could take wherever she wanted. Now, here's what the card looked like. This is a 17-year-old pop-up card, and here's my new and improved design that I made today. And this is what I'm going to teach you how to make in this tutorial. The first thing you want to do is go to createPopUpCards.com to get the template. So once you print the template out, cut the pieces out of the cardstock you want to use. And for this card, I'm going to make the petals pink and the inside of the flower yellow. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, there's a trick to get the inside of the card to open up very flat. Now, if you notice, when I open up this card, this inside seed cup opens up very flat. Now, the trick to this is that we're going to use string. We're going to tie string thread to the sides of this cup, so when you open it, it actually pulls the edges down to really open up that cup. Now, if you don't use the thread, when you open up the card, it'll look somewhat like this. And if you're okay with this, then you could skip the threading part of this card, which is a little bit tedious, but if you're like me and you want this card to look perfect, then you're going to want to follow these steps and sew these sides down. You're going to begin with these two pieces. Now, in the template, you'll notice that some of these sections have these small holes. So you want to make sure that these holes are actually poked all the way through. And I'm going to use a needle. These are the holes on this side, and then also on this base, there are two small holes right here. Okay, so make sure those holes are opened up, and let's go ahead and start. Now we're going to fold this piece at all of the dotted lines. Okay, so really make sure that these edges are well creased and scored. I'm going to fold them back and forth so that all these folds bend very easily. Okay, when it's fully assembled, it's going to look like this. Okay. Now we're going to make an anchor for the thread, and the way I make this is I'm going to cut two pieces of cardstock, one a little bit bigger than the other. I'm going to take my needle, now I've threaded it, I tied a knot on the end. I'm going to go through this larger section, like this, okay, until I see the knot. I'm going to pull this knot out. I'm going to take the smaller piece, feed it through the thread, and pull the thread through. Now I've created an anchor. I'm going to go ahead and glue these two pieces together. Now you want to make sure that your anchor is smaller than this piece right here. Okay, now you want to watch this carefully. Now hold this section here, and I'm going to feed this thread through one end. This is the opposite end of the center section. Okay, and it's going to fold over like this. Use this thread, this needle, push it through this hole, the inside of that hole, and as you pull it through, brings these together. Now go ahead and glue that section here. You only need a little bit of glue to hold that in place. Pull the thread, flatten it, make sure it folds flat. Let that dry. take your centerpiece, push it through one of the holes. Now you could cut this off and reuse that needle. Now for the other half, I've already threaded the needle and created another anchor. Now with this section, you want to thread your needle through the inside of the other half. You see that there's the first anchor. Now here's the second hole. I'm going to thread this through here. So now you see both anchors on the inside. And then fold this cap over and thread this through the inside of this other half. So it looks like this. Now let's put a little bit of glue inside here. Only a little is needed. Pull the string flat. Make sure it folds. Okay, now this is tricky. Now you want to thread the needle into the bottom piece here, the other side, like so. So now you have the two threads already threaded through all the pieces. And open up the center, make sure it opens, and thread and push these two tabs. Actually, there are 4 tabs. The first 2 in the smallest hole on one side, and then the other 2 on the other side, like this. So now you have a centerpiece like this. Now that you have the centerpiece threaded, you want to fold this piece down like so. And you can see the tabs sticking out the bottom. Now what we're going to do now is you're going to anchor these threads to the bottom of this pink piece, the centerpiece. And the way to do this is we're going to glue it. So when you fold this, pull the thread taut, and then we're going to be attaching this thread to the bottom. And you'll notice it'll seem pretty tight, but you want it very tight. So this is what we're going to do. Now, pull this thread around this tab. Now make sure that the string is very tight and nothing is loose. You're going to put just a little bit of glue on this bottom part. And you also want to put some glue on that string, because you don't want the string to slip. And fold that down. Okay? Now remember, there's 2 tabs. Pull one back, and let's fold the string over again, making sure it's taut. And glue this string down. Fold this tab. Now the string is anchored. Now let's do the same on the other side. Cut these threads off, and then now you want to trim these tabs. Okay, now you have the center finished. As you see, when I open this, this becomes very flat. Okay, I'm going to fold this inwards, just to fold it a few times. If you can't get this thing to open, take a needle, pull it back out. Okay, and as you can see, this bottom base, it almost looks too tight, but that's fine because when you open up the card, then it'll provide enough tension to open this up. Okay, now that that's finished, let's move on. Now go ahead and let this piece dry and cut out the other center part. They call these the stamen. And it doesn't have to be perfect, so if you're cutting it by hand or if you're cutting with a machine, if you miss a couple, it's okay. If you notice, all you need to do is make these look actually somewhat messy, and no one will notice that it's not perfect. Okay, so what I did with these ends, I'm going to take a toothpick and then I'm going to curl the inside of these strips, like so, and do it with all of these. You do want to make sure that all of these pieces are cut all the way through, so you have each one individual. There. Now all the edges are curled, and let's go ahead and fold all the sections. Now you want to assemble these stamen to the center part. You want to start with this end. Now there's two ends. This end looks like it's cut off. You want to start with the end that's full. Stick it in the next hole that you see here. Pull that through. Assemble this tab on the other side. And the final tab back behind the first tab. See if you can see that. There. Now you want to glue this down. I've already glued these tabs down, and then I've trimmed the ends so that they're flush with the center line. So when you open them, the tabs do not touch each other. Now I'm going to assemble the petals labeled A. These are the smallest petals. Insert these tabs into the same holes as the last piece that you assembled, these stamen pieces. I'm going to start again with this piece, this end, where you have a full petal, and move my way around. And I'm not going to glue these tabs down, not just yet, because these are going to go through the center card. Now take the next set of petals, these are labeled B. These are the middle-sized petals, and assemble them in the final slot in the center piece here. But first, fold all these dotted lines. I'm going to fold all these tabs upwards. like so. Now you're going to take the inside card, fold it in half, and you notice I made slots for all of the tabs, but we're only going to use some of them. So now let's take these 4 tabs that you see here and put them in the corresponding slots. It's easier to assemble half of the tabs first, one side, pull them through, and then assemble the others, the other half. Now for these larger slots, you don't need to glue them. You could simply just tape them down, but just be careful not to tape over that last slot. There, we're almost done. One more set of petals. So with the last set of petals, do the same thing. Fold each of the petals at the dotted lines and assemble just like the other ones. Now, there's one slot left in the inside card. I'm again going to start with this petal, the large petal, instead of the cut-off petal. There, now your inside card is almost done. The final step is to assemble the outside card. So this outside card, I've already cut the pieces out. Now let's fold this in half. Okay. Now make sure all of these are fully cut out. It'll make your assembly a little bit easier. And just slide the corners in. There. Now the last thing I want to do is push these stamen pieces away from the center cup. You want to fluff them up, so to speak. Now your card is done. Now here's a final look at the Lotus flower pop-up card. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel. For more tutorials, visit me at creativepopupcards.com, and you can also follow me on Facebook at facebook.com/creativepopupcards. Thanks for watching.